learn the latest news involving Raheem Sterling updates. We have Lewandowski hopes. We'll be discussing the future of Hakim Ziyech, as well as more updates surrounding Jonathan CLAUSS. So, ton of things to break down and discuss today. We know that Lukaku now is set to re-sign for Inter Milan, which means that we can expect more incomings to come to the club. And it seems like our summer window is finally starting to take shape, you guys. So if you enjoyed today's video, smash that like button, help me go over 2k likes today. And without wasting any more time, let's start things off and let's discuss the latest news involving Hakim Ziyech. Now, reports from Italy are suggesting that currently AC Milan are in advanced talks over the signing of Hakim Ziyech. The fee, obviously, it's going to be a loan. Anytime Italian clubs want our players, it's a loan first every single time. It does seem like Hakim Ziyech, though, would be one of the easiest deals, one of the easiest outgoings for the summer. Reports are saying AC Milan will offer a 5 million loan fee plus an option, not guarantee, an option to buy at 20 million at the end of the season. That's decent money, I guess. Yeah, I know that Ziyech costs us like 36 million, but realistically, he just doesn't really suit the system that much. Thomas Tuchel is aware of this. You know, Hakim Ziyech himself is definitely aware of this too. And unfortunately, he's just one of the victims that has to be sacrificed. I don't think it's got anything to do with his natural ability. You guys, you know what I'm about. I feel like if you want to see what a player can really do, you have to give them that position for them to really shine. And as Tuchel actually said after a Carabao Cup game involving Hakim Ziyech, you know, we switched systems lately. You know, if we play in a back four, a 4-1-4-1 with a right winger position, this suits Hakim very best. This position was not available from the start in the final, so we took the tactical decision to play with the back three, so did not leave us with the same position for Hakim, so he came from the bench. And essentially, these quotes from Tuchel himself kind of sums up Ziyech's entire career under the manager currently. At this level, sometimes, you guys, when new managers come in with new ideas, it's not always going to benefit every single player in the team. You know, the few glimpses in games that we did get to see Ziyech playing as a right winger, let's not pretend that he didn't absolutely shine. He didn't bring something with his left foot, goals from outside the box, those lob through balls inside the box as well too. But using the back three system, different tactical roles, different tactical games, it just didn't work. But I have to give credit to Hakim. You know, he tried his best to adapt to the system, which is what us fans constantly ask and call for. We saw during the start of last season, especially during pre-season, a Hakim Ziyech that was pressing a lot more aggressively, that was a lot more willing to close his man down, and was doing a lot of that defensive shift too. So I think when we saw Tuchel using that asymmetrical, you know, like 4-4-2 system that we saw against Spurs in the Carabao Cup, there's a reason why he thought Hakim could be that kind of like makeshift wingback slash winger in that team, because of the work rate he puts in. But, you know, unfortunately, he did struggle at times. You know, Tuchel tried to find options for him as a false nine, as a cam, down the left-hand side as well too. But he just doesn't really have his role in this team. So I have to say good luck to Ziyech. I think the guy is a great player still. He showed glimpses of what he could offer us over the time. But realistically now, my mindset is, okay, if the manager has full control, get the players he wants. Right now, we move on to the next story, and let's discuss the latest news involving Jonathan CLAUSS, which came from Nazar Gonzalez from Goal.com. Essentially, he reports that contact has been made for the player, but his signing will come depending on conditions that have to be met first. It is looking like Tuchel wants to have as many new signings ready and available for pre-season, which I guess has been a luxury for many Chelsea managers, because we've had so many hectic seasons with so many international tournaments scattered in between that it's really disrupted pre-season plans. We know that a lot of players currently, they want to decide their future too at this club, and one in particular is azpilicueta. Now, we do know that Barcelona already have like an agreed contract now of like 11 million euros over 2 years. We know that under previous management from Marina Granovskaya, she was okay to grant Azpi his wish to leave the club because of the respect that Azpi's held at this club for years and years and years. I mean, this guy really is a top player, and I really wouldn't be surprised if he retired one day, he came back to the club and found a role somewhere, because he really is that respected here. But now that we have new management, we're still quite unsure as to whether Azpi may remain. However, of course, with these recent links to CLAUSS, it's quite obvious that he would be that replacement for azpilicueta. We currently have competition from Atletico Madrid. We also see CLAUSS as a replacement for Vizalco, their Croatian fullback as well too. So, you know, this is definitely a player that has worked really hard to be at a place right now where some of the top clubs in Europe are actively after him. You know, he has a year left. His value's around 10 million too. His wages are around 8.5 thousand a week as well. So, you know, if he was able to sign for us, I'm hoping that we times his wages by like, I don't know, 5 or 10 or something like that. Because you guys, you know, I'm a sucker for these like Hollywood stories like this. But that doesn't take away from the guy's game. I mean, last season, clocking in 11 goals and 5 assists. One of the reasons why Tuchel is keen on the player too is because of his familiarity using a wing-back setup. And actually, Nazar does report that he has been scouted now for over 50 games. Over 50 games. That means that this is a long-term target. And the club feel like for his price and affordability, he could be amazing competition down the right-hand side alongside Reece James. I mean, it's no surprise that we've seen Tuchel using guys like Hudson-Odoi, Christian Pulisic as options as wing-backs that bring something new to the team, to have like runs and behinds, especially when he tries to coach Hudson-Odoi to know how to time those runs and behinds so we can quickly find him with the switchboard to disrupt defenses. These are some of the little tweaks and details that we still need Tuchel to have in the system, because a lot of times when injuries have come, it kind of has disrupted things and forced Tuchel to tweak the team. Pep and Klopp rarely have to do so, and I think to really mount a challenge, not only is it down to having just like quality players in the squads, but also having a squad that is well adjusted for literally any demands that could be faced throughout the season. And I think CLAUSS in particular is a very astute and smart signing. The guy has come a long way. He's never given up, quit that partying lifestyle as well too. And I guess it will come down to whether azpilicueta does decide to leave in the end. So I'm not expecting this deal to go through anytime soon, but it's quite clear that he will be the option we're going to turn to in case other players do leave. Of course, it still doesn't take away from the fact that ideally I thought that this pre-season would have been a great opportunity to look at players like your Matsons, you know, your Ampadus, Gilmours, etc., just to assess what we currently have first before dipping into the market for squad positions. But the reality is that academy grads is just not on Tuchel's agenda right now. I'm going to talk about the future of Matson and many others in the future too. You know, I've been down this road so many times before that I'm just not really feeling angry or anything like that. I'm in a position now where I'm just accepting reality and focusing on like what we're going to do for next season now. So CLAUSS, I'm liking these links. I'm liking how much he costs, and I think the guy's a great player too. We now have to discuss the latest news involving Raheem Sterling. Now, Raheem Sterling wants to clear his future up in the next 2 weeks. What's interesting though is that Man City have presented the player a new contract, but they are giving Sterling time to fully assess all options, which would also mean that Sterling will have an opportunity to hear what Pep Guardiola's potential plans may be for the player in case he was to remain at Man City. Two of the favourite players now to leave Man City are Sterling and Bernardo Silva as well too. So, you know, Pep does have plans for everyone. But at the same time, now that City have secured guys like Erling Haaland, Ricky Alvarez, you know, the recent signing of Jack Grealish as well too, they probably are going to have to sell players, and Sterling's one of the easiest guys to move on, considering that they were very happy to offer him as a part exchange over a potential deal for Harry Kane from last summer. And I think due to this need to have to sell now to, you know, free up the wage bill and get players off the books too, this could put us in a very favourable position when it comes to finding that final fee to sign the player. And multiple reports are suggesting that an in-between fee of around maybe 45 million could be enough to sign Raheem Sterling. Now we know that Bayern Munich have signed Mane. Now we know that Real Madrid have called the interest off around the player too. There aren't many clubs around right now that would even entice Sterling for him to sign for them. At this point in time though, Sterling is currently on holiday back home. He's actively talking to his lawyer. And we have to remember that Sterling has no agent at this point in time, so that's quite interesting. But Sterling sees this next contract as the most significant contract in his career. We know what happens when players reach their prime years. Look at Antonio Rudiger, like he had the same energy. This is what happens when players are reaching 27, 28 and 29. So you know that that transfer fee and that wage is going to be significantly high, and it's going to have to be because Sterling wants assurances that whatever club he signs for, he is going to be that key player. And he does feel like he just can't be given that role now at Man City. Now that Lukaku's future has been decided, We will now make a move for Raheem Sterling. The next few weeks are going to get very interesting, boys and girls. So right now, let's end things with the final report. And let's talk about a report surrounding Lewandowski, which came from Graham Bailey of 90 Min. Now, we know that Lewandowski is still holding out his dream move to sign for Barcelona. A 3-year deal, of course, has been accepted and has been prepared towards the player. But Barcelona are desperately scrambling now to sell players to free up that wage bill and to trim the squad too. So until that happens, any move for Lewandowski currently is literally in like a little funny place right now. And the report from Graham Bailey suggests that we of course are actively monitoring the situation, which you'd have to do for a player like Lewandowski. Now we know that Thomas Tuchel actually personally put forward the striker's name last summer when it came to looking for targets, but at the time the club just felt like Lewandowski had no interest or needs to want to sign for us. We do have a history with this agent and Pina Zahavi, but that was with existing management, and now that Marina and others are leaving the club, I wonder what that's going to do for negotiations and existing relationships. However, the reality is we are actively keeping an eye out in case anything was to fail or flop with his move to Barcelona. And what's interesting, the most interesting part of this article is that we've already had like informal discussions with Bayern Munich and actually have presented an offer of signing Lewandowski on a 12-month loan. But if that was to happen, and if Bayern Munich were open to that, it would require Lewandowski signing a 1-year contract extension first before any move like this was allowed to be made. So the reality is this is a hopeful signing that depends on many factors that's out of our nature falling into place for something to happen. It's ambitious, and I guess if you're signing a proven, legendary, generational striker on a season-long loan, I think that kind of mitigates a lot of risk actually. But then I also have personal thoughts about then how would we actually use and play the player, because he's a number 9 and I'm seeing a lot of number 9s now struggling at this club, and I'm assuming that the idea is to move away from a traditional number 9 now to have more of like an all-round multifaceted attacking player. I mean, Lewandowski is incredible, but also he is relying on great service and a great understanding with his existing teammates at Bayern Munich. And I just think that do we create necessarily enough like incredible opportunities consistently for a striker? And I guess Lewandowski, you have to get used to actually finding him and creating that service for him. So there's definitely food for thought behind this. But at the same time, you know, a 12-month loan, if that could even happen, it makes you think, you guys. It makes you think. So on that note, I'm going to wrap things up, keep things moving. Thank you for watching. I'm Nini FC. This is BlueLionsTV. I'll catch you guys later with some more videos. Cool.